Okay, so I'm going to try to get us about halfway through the Module 7 project here. Um, this project deals a lot with importing data from different sources, so make sure that you have downloaded all of the support files, excuse me, and including and also the instruction and the main file. When you download these support files, what I've found with this project is don't open them. So there are three support files. One's an image, and one's a CSV file, and then the other one's an HTML file. If you don't open those, so these are your three support files listed here. If you don't open those, save them, but don't open them. That will work better for you. So I'm going to try to do steps 1 through 7 here. What we are trying to do is import a lot of stuff. So the first thing we want to do is import the logo for this particular business. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Insert tab for this. And we're going to click on Illustrations, and we're going to choose Pictures. And it's going to ask us where we want to look. I have mine saved in a file, as probably will you. So I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to kind of go backward here. Let me say that I had mine set up. The last pathway that I used went through my desktop. One of the things that you need to make sure of when you do this project is that you know where you saved these files. So I made an effort to put them in a specific spot. So I put them in my summer 2022, in my BUSA 2205, and I know what the file name is that I'm looking for, and it's also the only image file that I'm looking at in this particular folder, so that makes it really easy. So I'm going to double click that, and it's going to insert it. Now I already had like a cell selected up here. I had selected a cell, I think I was in A1 maybe, but I still need to resize a little bit so that that logo fits within the parameters that were given. Get it as close as you can. Try not to go over into a different cell. But you know, if it's not absolutely perfect, as long as those corners are still in the right place, according to the thing, it's okay. Now we do want to format this picture because what we need to do is add alt text. There we go. So I just sort of almost forgot we had to do that. So let me back up for a second. Again, there's probably maybe an easier way than what I just did, but if I go back over here to my home ribbon, I just click somewhere else so that I don't have this menu open so you can see where it came from. What I did is my Mac equivalent of a right click on the picture. I went to Format Picture. No, actually I didn't. I went to Size and Properties, which opens this menu here. And if you notice down at the bottom, it says Alt Text. What that does is it allows anybody who needs to use a screen reader to actually get the appropriate description of what it is. So we're going to put in Wang Marketing logo. And I'm going to make my window a little bigger here so I can see what I'm doing. And that's all we should have to do there. So yeah, it saved that. And now if I were to use a screen reader, I would that would work for anybody who needed to use that technology. Okay. Then we need to do some importing of files. So what we want to do is we want to get the data from the New York file and from the Los Angeles file. Notice that there's already spaces for these. So I'm going to click in this range where I want it to go in New York. I'm just going to click a square, and then I'm going to go to my Data tab. And actually, this was because I've made my ribbon a little larger. I can just go ahead and see right here over to the right. It tells me what my import possibilities are. If my window is a little smaller, I generally work with a little smaller, you might see just import options, get external data, and then you click on that drop down. So if you're not seeing that, it might just be compressed a little. So I'm doing, in this case, it's important that I pay attention to the type of text file. And so if you look in the instructions, it says that this is a text file. So when I look under external data, it says from text. So I'm going to do that. And then what that's going to do is just redirect me and say, hey, what file do you want? And I have to have it saved somewhere, and I need to know where it's saved. That's the important thing. So the good thing is, so again, if it went to my desktop here, I would just need to know, okay, what folder or folders did I save it in? I tend to nest things, so summer, but then I also have to go to this particular folder, and again, I scroll down, and the only thing it's going to let me choose is between the Los Angeles and the New York data. Los Angeles is HTML, it's a web page. New York is a text file, CSV, comma separated values is what that stands for. So I'm going to click on that. And then Excel is going to ask me to tell it a few things about that data so it knows how to format the data as it is imported. So it wants to know, hey, is your text delimited? And it is. All that means is that in the original file, and this is what it looks like, there are commas between the important values. So that's true, so we're not going to change that. We're not going to change the import row. So this is all good. I'm just going to click next here. The thing that I want to do is I do want to go down here and say, oh, but my delimiter is a comma. That allows Excel to determine where the changes are or where the separations are in my text file. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to separate that, and then I'm going to click next. And it wants to know data format. Don't worry about that just yet. We're going to leave that alone. And we're going to finish. Then it wants to know where I want to put my data. So it is going to start in A10. And notice that we're using an absolute cell reference here. And then we're going to go, we can just start in A10. Yeah, we don't actually have to specify the whole thing. So we're going to go ahead and click, and it's going to insert our data right there. So notice it's not formatted like anything yet. It's just simply importing the information. So that's what yours should look like. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a similar process with the Los Angeles data, but the Los Angeles data is an HTML file. Now, I cannot get the version of Excel that I'm using on my Mac to actually let me specify a path. If that ends up being something that's being counted off for, I haven't tested that yet, I will just go ahead and adjust the grades to make up for that. So I'm going to show you how I do this. If you do get prompted to specify a path, it should look very, very much like this, but you may need to fill in your own information. So say you may need to put in your username, and then the folders where you have this saved. One of the easier ways to do this is if you are working on a computer that uses a path, you can go ahead and just save the file to your desktop, and then you have a shorter path to go with. And this file name needs to be at the end so that the program or Excel knows what file to get. So for us, we're going to do external data. I'm going to get some things from HTML. I'm going to find that file. That's actually not the folder I want to be in. So I'm going to go to summer and BUSA 2205. And I'm going to scroll down and notice now I have this value. Now this one's a little bit different. So what this does is it actually just opens this in an Excel file. And what we're going to do is we are going to copy and paste this data. So I am going to go ahead and copy. We're just getting these 3 rows, not the first column, sorry, 3 columns, not the first column, we're omitting that. And then we're going to copy and paste the values. So I am going to copy this, and then what I noticed in doing this project previously is that it kind of misbehaves if I don't pay attention to one thing. First of all, I have 5 rows and I've got 3 columns, so I'm just going to go ahead and select that corresponding area on here. I'm going to paste, but I'm actually going to paste only my values. What that does is it keeps the header here from being copied into Excel. You're going to need that not to be there in a future step, so I just went ahead and pasted without without that formatting to make it a little easier. Okay, so we have our values from steps 2 and 3. So what we want to do now is we want to do some formatting of our tables. So this is going to take, we're going to do this a few times. We've got 3 different tables that we want to format. So I'm going to start off by just selecting the New York data. And what I want is I want to format as tables. So I'm going to go here where it says format as table. I'm going to click that button and it's going to give me a drop down. And I want the dark red table style light 9. So that is actually this one, I believe. Yep. And I'm going to apply that. If I click somewhere else, well, that's what it was supposed to do. Sorry, my data is here. There we go. My table has headers. Make sure that's checked. Okay. And just go ahead and click yes. I'm not sure exactly what it's coming up with there, but we're just going to go ahead and click yes. We're going to do that twice more, and then we're going to make the other edits to the tables. So for this one, it was already formatted as a table. So we're just going to go to Quick Styles, and we're going to choose the formatting that we want to use. And then again, on the last one, we're going to format it as a table. We're going to choose the style that we want. And this one is going to ask us again, hey, where's the data that you want? Does it have headers? Okay. And then it's going to go ahead and format that table. Now, before we leave this process, we want to do a few more things. So we want to remove the filter buttons from the header row. That's one of the things that we want to do. Sorry, I think I accidentally hit the stop button there for a second. So continuing on, we want to remove the header, the filter buttons. So what I can do is I can click in my table and I can say, oh, look, one of the features that I can choose to check or uncheck is the filter button. If I uncheck filter button, it removes that from my table. So I can get rid of those. I don't have to check all the cells. I just have to say, I don't want that in my table. Then I want to format the revenue and expense data in the bottom 2 tables using the comma number style with no decimal places. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight those cells that I want to format. I don't necessarily need the header. I just need those cells. I can do one of 2 things. I can go to format cells up here. So I'll do that this time. And scroll down and go, okay, I want to format my cells. First thing I want to do is make sure that I'm on the number setting. So it might be set up, maybe it pops up and you're on alignment. You want to click that you want to format the numbers. You want number. So this is a little weird the way it's stated in the directions. You want number, but then you also want to use the comma separator and you want to decrease the number of decimals to 0. That's what you're doing with that formatting there. So I'm going to click OK and notice that now that formatting has changed. I'm going to do the same thing down here in Los Angeles. I'm going to highlight those rows. This time, instead of going up here to that drop down, I'm going to right click. I can get to format cells from there as well. And it allows me to do the same thing. Number, use my separator and decrease my decimals to 0. Click OK. And I have the formatting that I want to have. I'm going to stop this video because I'm going to run out of time otherwise. I will come back with a second video for some more steps. All right, hope that helped.